What on earth is this about? What the heck? You were sneaking around behind my back? A friend of mine happened to spot you. What's going on here? I don't know all the details, but you've been cheating on me, haven't you? That's just the lowest. It was just a moment of weakness. Besides, you're a stay-at-home spouse, living off me. Don't complain about me taking a little break. I showed my husband a photo when he returned from work. It was a picture of him walking hand in hand with a young woman. However, his reaction was contrary to what I expected. A little break? Does he really consider cheating just a breather? That's taking it too far. Cheating is a blatant act of betrayal. You betray me and don't even apologize? Betrayal is an exaggeration. It was just a one-time fling, don't make a big deal out of it. Or do you want to divorce me? I was completely dumbfounded by my husband's retort. After that, we barely spoke for a week. That day, my husband left the house in the afternoon. While hanging the laundry, I saw him leave and then, suddenly, he was hit by a large truck as he stepped onto the main street. Shocked, I rushed out of the house and over to him, calling for an ambulance. My husband's been hit by a truck, please help. Understood. You're his spouse, right? Please accompany us. Sorry, but I'm a stranger to him. Please take care of him. I said that and watched as my husband was taken away in the ambulance. Then, in the evening, I received an onslaught of calls from him. My name is Samantha. I'm currently a stay-at-home spouse, living a life I enjoy. I turned 30 this year and married my current husband 2 years ago. Since then, I've been a homemaker at his strong insistence, and we've been having a pleasant married life. Welcome home. You're late again today. I've been working overtime. What's for dinner? I've prepared meat and potatoes and grilled fish. The fish has cooled down, so I'll warm it up. What? Cooled down? Why did you cook it before I got home? Make a fresh one. This isn't okay after a day's work. Sorry, I'll reheat it right away, can you wait a bit? Indeed, I felt a bit guilty for not having fresh food ready after his day at work. But was it really something to get so angry about? I understood he was tired from overtime, but I wished he had called if he was going to be late. That way, I could have timed dinner with his return, and we wouldn't have this issue. Lately, he'd been coming home late often, sometimes without any notice. Without a call, I can't tell when to prepare dinner. And if there's no call, I assume he's returning at the usual time, so I prepare the meals accordingly. I thought that was pretty obvious. Maybe he's too preoccupied with work to think about it. Either way, fighting with my husband wasn't going to help. I tried to avoid provoking him and kept my cool. But lately, these little arguments have been increasing. When we first got married, we didn't get upset or complain over such small things. Maybe he's stressed from work. His company isn't exactly the most employee-friendly, so I guess it can't be helped. He's under a lot of stress, so I want to make home as stress-free as possible. But I have my own side too, and since we're both in this life together, I can't always just give in to his demands. I'm given a set amount of money for living expenses, and from that, I pay for groceries, electricity, water, etc. It's not ideal for him to use electricity and water however he likes. I'm even using our savings to make ends meet. He probably never even thinks about these struggles. Hey, could you let me know if you're going to be late because of overtime? If not, I can't prepare dinner properly. I'm working, I don't have time for that. You need to be more flexible. You're a homemaker, so you should naturally handle this. I don't know the specifics of his job, and he doesn't always work overtime every day. It's impossible to predict his schedule when it changes daily. It's an unreasonable expectation, really. And I'm not asking for a report on everything from 1 to 10. Just a simple message about what time you'll be home today. That's all I'm asking for. It should take less than a minute. But arguing with him in his current state will only lead to a fight. And if I don't prepare anything until he comes home, he'll get angry about that too. Really, what should I do? It's a dilemma, but I am a homemaker and depend on my husband for support. Maybe if I had insisted on working even against his wishes when we got married, I wouldn't have to hear these complaints. Sometimes, I regret that decision, but I try not to let stress build up too much. Hello? It's already 10 p.m., are you still working? I'm out drinking with my boss tonight, won't be home until morning. Don't bother with dinner. What? You could have told me earlier. It was a last-minute thing. You should have guessed it was a drinking night since I hadn't come home by this time. Maybe he's working late, or he could have had an accident on his way home. How am I supposed to know if he doesn't tell me? Does he think I'm some kind of psychic? I even wait for him to eat dinner. Not knowing how I feel, my husband's selfish actions gradually accumulated stress for me, bit by bit. He doesn't seem to think about me at all. Is it all just about what's good for him? I was trying to avoid stress, but the stress I was facing was becoming overwhelming. And then, one day. Are you okay now? I'm sorry for calling you out of the blue. I'm fine, but what's going on? It's not about me, but actually, I just saw your husband walking with another woman. They were holding hands and seemed quite close. Is there trouble in your marriage or something? What? Are you serious? When I answered my friend's call, I was initially happy to hear from her after a long time. However, the moment I learned that my husband was having an affair, my mind went blank. I managed to utter a few words of disbelief, but after that, I couldn't speak at all. What on earth was happening? It's true that my husband had been acting selfishly lately, but we had been married for 2 years, and it's natural for a couple to become more comfortable with each other over time. Or so I thought. But this was a complete betrayal. Is that really true? Maybe it's a mistake or something, not what you think? I wish I could believe it's a mistake, but it was definitely your husband. It's just his back in the photo, but I took a picture. I'll send it to you now. My friend sent me the photo, and it was undeniably my husband's back. I was shocked, and my knees gave way. I couldn't find words anymore. However, the fact that my husband was having an affair was undeniable. I hung up the phone, grateful to my friend for letting me know, but the time until my husband returned home felt incredibly long. I received a message about overtime, and my husband returned home around 8 p.m. Overtime was a lie. Was he just spending time with his affair partner? Thinking about it made me feel sick, and anger welled up from the depths of my heart. Still, I tried to stay calm and talk to my husband when he finally came home. What's going on here? What the hell? Have you been spying on me? My friend happened to spot you. What on earth is going on? I don't know the details, but were you betraying me by cheating? Isn't that the lowest? It was just a momentary lapse in judgment. Besides, you're a homemaker, and you're able to live comfortably thanks to me. Don't complain about me taking a little break. A momentary lapse in judgment? Does he really think he can call cheating a momentary lapse in judgment? It's beyond belief. Cheating is a serious betrayal. It's something that should never happen in a marriage, and yet he's taking it lightly. If he had admitted to the cheating and sincerely apologized, I might have been able to forgive. However, being so unapologetic about it makes forgiveness impossible. Acting defiant without even an apology is just unthinkable. Isn't it a big deal to betray someone and not even apologize? You're making too big a deal out of it. It was just a one-time thing, so don't make it such a big deal. Or do you want a divorce? Don't make it a big deal? Does he really think that cheating is not a big deal in a married couple's life? If he continues to make such self-centered remarks, even I, who have been patient, will lose my temper. He needs to stop underestimating the gravity of his actions. Do I want a divorce? With a husband as selfish as him, I did start thinking about divorce. To be honest, I had begun to consider it. Of course, the decision to get married is not something to be taken lightly. When I decided to marry him, I made a commitment in my heart to stand by his side no matter what happened. Marriage was supposed to be like that, and if something happened to him, I was ready to dedicate my life to supporting him. That's the determination with which I entered into this marriage. However, it's based on the premise of mutual trust. We decided to get married because there was trust in our relationship when we were dating. That's why I can't easily forgive such a betrayal. It's not about being a homemaker or just having some fun. If you're going to complain so much, should we get a divorce right now? Just wait a moment. With those words, my husband left. 30 minutes later, when he returned home, he had several documents in his hand. Do you even understand what this is? It's a divorce decree. I'll sign it right now, so if you want a divorce, just submit it to the office. What is this? Are you serious? You can't just talk about divorce like it's a threat. Of course, it's serious. If you really think you can live without me, Then submit it right away," he said, pushing the divorce papers with his section filled out towards me. At this point, I couldn't say anything in return. I realized that my husband's feelings were only to that extent. For him, our marriage was just a contract. An extension of being a couple. He was perfectly fine with betraying others, and even when he did, there was no sign of remorse. Or a simple apology. I couldn't believe I had married such a person. "I understand. Yeah, that's right. You're just a stay-at-home wife, and you can't survive without me. So don't get too cocky. And the reason I cheated is that you lack the appeal of a woman. Shouldn't it be your duty to make an effort to be more desirable to me?" he said, seeming to have some misunderstanding. I didn't want to talk to my husband about anything anymore. With that in mind, I returned to my bedroom. I hadn't prepared any food. But after such a heated argument, my husband didn't show any sign of making demands on me. I stayed in my room to calm my mind, and I didn't talk to my husband for the rest of that day. About a week passed. My husband, who had a day off and woke up around noon, had breakfast I had prepared on the table. I hung up the laundry on the balcony. Without any gratitude, my husband ate breakfast and immediately began to change his clothes to go out. "I'm heading out for a bit. I won't be back until tonight, so you don't need to make dinner." I wondered if he was going to meet his affair partner. But at that point, it was no longer my concern. If he wanted to play around, he could do as he pleased. With that in mind, I silently saw him off without saying anything. However, less than a minute later, a loud noise and people's screams came from outside. I saw it happen right before my eyes. The moment my husband tried to cross the signal on the main road in front of our house, he was hit by a large truck. I immediately rushed out of the house and ran to the scene. It was right in front of our house, so I quickly checked my husband's condition and called an ambulance. In about 5 minutes, paramedics arrived. "My husband was hit by a truck. Please help him," I said. "Understood, ma'am. Please accompany us." Oh. I accidentally referred to him as my husband out of habit, but I had no intention of accompanying this person. Despite being hit by a large truck, he was still conscious. So he should be able to understand what I was saying. "I'm sorry, but I am not related to him. Please take care of him." "Huh? Now, please take him away quickly." The paramedic seemed perplexed, but given the urgency of the situation, he quickly transported my husband to the hospital. Left behind, I strangely didn't feel too worried, and I couldn't get the image of my husband's face when I called him a stranger out of my head. He looked completely bewildered and had no understanding of the situation. But I felt a bit relieved, thinking that maybe he had finally understood my feelings. We had no relationship anymore. I didn't care what happened to him. With that mindset, I received a call in the evening. "Hello. We're complete strangers now, so please stop contacting me." "What the hell are you talking about? You said that when the paramedics arrived, and now you're saying we're complete strangers." "Of course. Why did you think I'd continue being married to someone who betrayed me as a spouse? I can't trust you anymore after being betrayed like this." "It's not about that. I'm saying it's not a joke when I'm in such a situation." Given the emergency, I would have certainly responded appropriately. It's my duty as a witness to call an ambulance. However, I'm not obligated to accompany you. My responsibility ends with calling the ambulance. What happens after that is none of my concern. There's no need for me to see it through. Besides, why would you want a complete stranger to witness this? It makes no sense. We're already complete strangers. What are you expecting from me? So, what have you been talking about this whole time? I've already submitted the divorce papers you gave me. We are now complete strangers. What are you expecting from me, I'm asking. When I said this, my husband seemed to be at a loss for words. I could barely hear him mutter, "Huh," in a very faint voice. Did he really think I wouldn't submit them, even though he signed them himself? Did he truly believe I couldn't live without his support? I'm sorry, but I'm not that desperate to live with someone who would cheat on me. I was a full-time housewife, but I can live on my own. He should stop underestimating me. Wait a minute. Did you really submit that divorce paper? I explained that cheating was just a fling. If you thought it was just a fling, is that supposed to make it okay? The fact remains that you cheated. You made excuses and didn't even apologize. Why should I forgive you? I don't get it. I want to cancel all of that. Even though you signed it yourself, I won't let you say the divorce papers had no effect. And if by some chance that divorce is deemed invalid, I'll still file for divorce because of your affair. Either way, we're destined to part ways. And again, what are you expecting from me, a complete stranger? When I said that, he fell silent again. He must realize that what he's saying is nonsensical and what I'm saying is reasonable. That's why he can't come up with a response. He may want to argue, but he's got nothing to say. That's what I think. I'm planning to pack up my stuff and move out within the week, so I'll be filing for alimony through my lawyer later. Just so you know, you're expected to pay. Wait a minute. What do you mean by alimony payments? You're not planning to skip out on alimony after cheating, are you? That would be unbelievable, right? To think that after all this, he wouldn't pay alimony and act as if nothing happened. As a working adult, he should know how to take responsibility for his actions. I won't allow him to shirk his responsibilities. The fact that he cheated while we were married doesn't change. I have no sympathy for someone who shows no remorse or apology. Just to be clear, you won't get away with not paying alimony. I've done some digging, and I know your mistress is a junior at your company. I don't know how it'll affect your job, but I'll be claiming alimony from her too. Wait, she has nothing to do with this. Stop it, please. You're afraid of your lover being unhappy? It's not about that. She got the job through connections with the boss. It'll become a major issue if you pursue this, please stop. I don't care about that, and it's not my problem. She knew you were married and still went ahead with the affair. She needs to take responsibility for her actions. If she's connected to the boss, he should have been more careful about his actions within the company. He shouldn't tarnish the boss's reputation. But I guess it's pointless to expect social decency from someone who cheats. One's a married man, the other's connected to the boss, and yet both are utterly irresponsible. I sighed in disbelief, but it doesn't matter anymore. I don't know when you'll be discharged from the hospital, but the next time we meet will be to discuss alimony with my lawyer. Goodbye. I said this and hung up the phone. There was nothing more to say, and I didn't want to talk to a cheater. It's not like his life was in danger after being hit by a truck. His injuries might lead to paralysis or other long-term effects, but that's none of my concern. He can fend for himself, and I won't extend a helping hand. That's the consequence of his actions, and I won't hear any complaints. With these thoughts, I quickly packed my things and returned to my parents' home. A month later. Hey! You're not replying to my messages, not picking up calls, you've blocked me, haven't you? What do you want? You're the reason I'm getting kicked out of the company because you demanded alimony from her. This isn't a joke, you've completely messed up my life. You ruined our marriage, and you're responsible for paying alimony, right? I had claimed alimony from both my ex-husband and his mistress. Did he think I would be concerned about the impact on him? What does it matter to me if his mistress is connected to the boss? That's irrelevant. To cheat and then expect me to be considerate about such things is absurd. To think so lowly of others. Does he not have any remorse or apology for what he said? Honestly, I didn't intend to talk anymore, but this just proves how selfish he is, Tilda. You messed up big time, and now at the very end, you're playing the victim and blaming others? That's a sign your life is truly over. If you keep acting like this, you'll just continue to suffer, you know? Don't mess with me. I'm seriously injured from an accident and have been healing for 3 months. I have to pay alimony and now I'm losing my job. My life's a disaster. I think my ex-husband still sees his affair as just a fling and can't understand why his life turned out this miserable. But as long as he thinks of his actions as just a game, he'll probably keep doing the same things. He shows no sign of remorse and doesn't seem to plan on it. It's futile to expect someone with such a character to reflect on their actions. Even on the day you were hit by that truck, weren't you distracted, rushing to meet your mistress? Well, either way, it's none of my business. And another thing, if you contact me again, I'll report it to the police. Report to the police? What do you mean by that? It's obvious. We're divorced and complete strangers now. If you keep contacting me after I changed my number, that's nothing but stalking. We're strangers now, so don't involve yourself with me anymore. He fell silent the moment I mentioned reporting to the police. His earlier bluster disappeared, and he became utterly quiet. Injured, facing alimony, divorced, and losing his job. And now the police might get involved. That's something he'd want to avoid at all costs. This isn't a threat, but a warning. If you don't want to make things worse, stay out of my life. We're divorced, I have my own life, and you have yours. Your life might be too miserable to move forward, though. I said that and hung up the phone. After that, perhaps the mention of the police got through to him because he stopped calling. Feeling disgusted, I changed my phone number a month later. I cut ties with all mutual acquaintances except those who were completely on my side. About a year later, I had found a job and was living happily, but I heard from a mutual acquaintance that my ex-husband's life was truly pitiful. Well, I think you probably know this, but he's pretty much been abandoned by his friends. At first, people felt sorry for him despite knowing he was at fault. But then he started asking for money, and until the very end, he didn't understand how others viewed him. Is that why they abandoned him? Exactly. It's baffling why he can't think ahead. Well, if he were capable of that, he wouldn't have cheated in the first place. That's exactly right. He never thought about the future consequences of his actions. He ruined his life with the affair, and I think he'll keep failing in many things. A person who can't make basic judgments as a human being can't help it. But now that we're divorced, whatever happens to him is none of my business. I intend to spend my precious life meaningfully. Marriage is not just an extension of dating. It's about sharing a life together and becoming a family, which brings responsibilities. If something happens to one, the other helps, and vice versa. That's what marriage is about, but someone who trivializes cheating as just a fling will never succeed in remarriage. A person who doesn't understand how to build human relationships and trust can't lead a happy life. I'll continue to cherish those who value me, and even if I have fewer friends, I aim to build deep, meaningful relationships.